Here we are. Hi, happy World Doula Week, day 3. Today's topic is labour and birth, and we're going to talk about how doulas support women through labour and birth, and how we do it, because there may be some differences there. So yeah, we're going to talk about all of that. Where to begin?
With introducing ourselves.
Okay. You go.
Smooth. Hello, I am Ellie. Work with Greater Manchester Doulas in Manchester in the UK.
Excellent. That pretty much introduces both of us. I'm Amy, and I do the same. We work together, and it's Ace. So, I guess if we start with doulas in general, how a doula can support a woman in labour. Many ways. Holding the space, I think, is the big one, because we all know about those moments, the transition moments where you might have a bit of a wobble, and it's really important that the people around you are holding space for that wobble and not acting upon it. And I think that's a major part of the doula's role, is to not necessarily act, and to just be, and to hold the space for the wobble, to hear it, respect it, and just wait for it to pass. Yeah, I think that's the key, in my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, I was thinking this morning, I was having my breakfast outside because it's just really lovely here. About, does every woman need a doula for labour and birth? And I just thought, it's not our place to tell any woman or anybody, in fact, what they want or what they need. And we're certainly not here to convince anyone that they do need a doula. But I think the only women that will want to reach, and that we can reach, are women who just have a feeling that it's like an instinctive thing. They might not be able to describe why it is. It might not make like a pros and cons list. It might not feel tangible, but that need, that instinctive, I just want another woman there who's just there just for me. Like sometimes that's all it is. And when I say all it is, I mean, it's no small thing. That instinct of, I don't know why, I just do. That is the basis on which your birth plan will be written. You might not necessarily, it might not be because of facts and figures and statistics. It might not be because the pros list was longer than the cons list. It can just be a feeling. And if you can follow that feeling to its conclusion and hire a doula that you connect with and that feels right to you, then you are on the path to having the birth that you want, because you're listening to your instincts and acting upon them, even if it doesn't make sense with your thinking brain.
Yeah, so much of that that role of having, that the reason that you kind of have that other woman there is maybe to remind you to look inwards, because we're not there to give answers or to tell you what you need, like you said, but to remind you that you already know what you need, and sometimes you just need reminding of that. So that, I think that becomes quite an integral role, part of the role. Sorry, to reflect back the confidence and the trust that woman has in herself. And I think that's where there's a difference between hiring a doula because you've been told that you should, just to kind of tick a box and feel like you're doing the right thing, even if it doesn't feel right. And hiring a doula because it does feel right, because you want, because you already have confidence in yourself. You know that that doula isn't going to bring you that confidence. You have it already, but they're going to remind you of it, and that's so important in those times. Like when if you have a wobble in labor, having that reflection can be really helpful.
I'm not sure that I answered the question that you asked me.
I don't know if I asked a question.
Well, I didn't actually mention labour and birth, which is the topic for today. No.
Oh, maybe we're just talking on a more general sense, but that's fine.
I think we can talk about what other doulas do and what we do as GMD, because we have been those other doulas. We weren't always GMD, so I think we can talk about that without it being like us and them. It's just us and us.
Yeah, past us and present us. Yeah, for sure. Does anything spring to mind when you think about past you?
I think I used to feel like I had to know everything and that I had to have a big bag of tricks. And I used to want to learn more, but not not just in an inner knowing, learning kind of processing way. I think that I wanted to have different skills so that people could see that I was a good doula. I wanted to be able to do massage and do, like the things. I wanted to add strings to my bow. And I think that's something that I used to even say on my previous doula websites and stuff. I wanted to be able to say, I'm not just a doula, I do all these things as well. And I wanted someone to pick me based on the fact that I could do lots of stuff. I wanted women, when I arrived in labour, to heave a sigh of relief when they saw my big bag and to go, it's okay now. And that's like the opposite of how I feel now. This is me, and you either connect with me or you don't. And I wouldn't want you to be swayed by, you don't connect with me, oh, but she does do this massage and she does do Reiki and she does do these things, because then that's a thinking brain thing. And I don't want that. It's not those things will come into play if it's a good fit. But I wouldn't want someone to try and convince themselves because on paper I look like the right doula for them, because I am or I'm not, because it's me that I'm bringing. And now I don't have anything in my bag except what can help me to be comfortable in that space so that a woman doesn't have to think about me. Maybe it's different now. We don't go to hospital births because you carry a lot of stuff, don't you, to try and make the hospital environment less shit. But you can't make a hospital. There's nothing you can ever put in a bag that will make a hospital less shit or more homely. You couldn't even have a home birth really in your friend's house because it's not your home. So yeah, my bag is very small now, and it's got straws in it and a change of clothes.
Yeah, my bag feels pretty redundant, to be honest. It's a nice bag as well, but yeah, the only thing I think I've ever used from it is straws, because it's not about the stuff. But I think for me, at least, when I first started, I felt like having that stuff made me feel more prepared. And I guess it's similar in like when you're preparing for birth as a pregnant woman, you kind of think about the stuff instead of the what you actually need internally. And that, yeah, because really you already have everything you need as a birthing woman and as a doula. If you are processing previous experiences and you're coming to that birth open-hearted and ready to just be there for that woman, then you are already everything you need. You don't need that bag of stuff. But I think that we've probably all started like that, with that like maybe to help us feel prepared, but and to feel like we were enough, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a big confidence thing.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm enough, so if I bring enough stuff, then I'll
Like it.
I'll look the part. It feels
Yeah.
scary to just show up and just be like, yeah, I'm here for you. Because what
Yeah.
if someone says that's not enough? But now I think that we don't just take on any client who wants to work with us because it's not a good use of either of our time. So now I think we would only take on clients who like what we're about and just say, you get it, right? Bring this energy into this journey. If it's a client who was just like, yeah, but can you do this and can you do this and can you do this, then that's not a good fit for us, and we'll try to find somebody who is. So yeah, I think a big thing is, can I just show up to this birth and just, is it enough to just be myself? But when we do that, we are modeling to that woman that she is enough and that she has enough.
Yeah, for sure. And if we can be ourselves with that woman in pregnancy and, before labor and the birth, and she feels she can be herself completely with us, then bingo. Like, that's the point, right? Because if you're feeling inhibited in some way or judged or watched, it's not going to benefit anyone. So it has to be a good fit. And that's where, for us, yeah, being really clear about the way that we work and the women that we usually work with, it helps because it's those expectations, I guess, but also just to make it so that we are all, feeling honest and open and ourselves, because we're not about being anyone other than ourselves. But I think it took us a long time to get to that point.
Yeah. So maybe for someone who is thinking of hiring a doula, what might you say to someone who's thinking, I don't know if that's too many people, or yeah, well, there's questions that women have when it comes to labour and birth.
I'd love to hear some questions. If anyone's watching and you have questions, please, or had questions before you hired a doula, or didn't.
Yeah, so, what stopped you? What I would be really interested to know, like what made you think, I'd love a doula, but, or, I mean, there's probably nobody watching who thinks I would never hire a doula, because otherwise you wouldn't be on this page, I guess, unless you hate watching. Hate watch.
It's possible. I think that that will it be too many people in the room? That's a really good question, and something that you should definitely consider, because yeah, being unobserved is one of those basic needs. So it depends on who you are and what's gonna make you feel comfortable, and that, yeah, having that connection, because if we're doing a good job, you won't notice that we're there unless you need us to, to give you, to reflect some confidence back to you. Like, our role is unimposing, and we're definitely not there to observe, to, to watch every move and to like time shit. Like, that's not what we're there for. So we do our best to be, to what, I can't think of the right word, but like to not take up that space, because we're there to hold the space for her to take up all of the space. So yeah, I think it's worth thinking about, though, because it can feel like too many people, I'm sure. Usually only one of us goes to a birth, but sometimes it's both of us.
If you want us to bring a doula party, just let us know.
Yeah, sometimes it just feels right. And I mean, obviously not just for us two, but for the woman herself. But when we have done that, it's been an awesome experience for us, and for her, hopefully. But
Not
yeah.
hopefully, she
I didn't want to speak on her behalf, but we know that she wanted that, so it's fine. But yeah, if you're thinking, "Whoa, two of them is probably too many," usually it's just one of us. I'm trying to think of other questions.
What are the practical things that doulas, aka us, do at births? Like what do you do? I think that's probably the biggest question, and it's probably the most obvious thing to us because we've experienced it, but maybe it's not very easy to describe. Because I think what you said is key. Like, you'll only really notice it if it's not there. Because if a woman has a wobble, and I think women should plan for wobbles, not just hope they don't come up. Just think, right, if I'm going to wobble, if I'm suddenly going to think that I need to go to hospital, or I need to call a midwife when I hadn't planned to, or I need or that, something isn't right, when I know that it is, but I just need to say it, like, who can I do that around? Who will keep me safe? Instead of just hoping that it won't happen. If I do that, when I do that, oh my God, you hear that? I just asked my daughter to come and let the dogs out, thinking it would be less obtrusive than if I did it, and then that happened. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so she plans for that moment and thinks, who can I wobble with? Who will say, not just go, oh shit, yeah, maybe we should do this complete opposite thing of what you wanted. Who's going to ensure that in that moment I will be looked to, and I will be held, and I can say all sorts, and I know I'll be taken seriously if it's serious, but I also know that she'll kind of like ground me and recenter me and keep it on me. Because if you do that, and if we're at a birth and we're able, if a woman says, oh my God, do you think I need to go to hospital? And you say, I don't know, how do you feel? Then often she won't remember that wobble because she was held, she was centered, her own confidence and trust were reflected back in her. And that isn't to say that we reflect a woman's confidence beyond what she has. So, nobody can say, yes, you are safe, you should stay at home. And no one should say, no, you're not safe, you should go to hospital. All you can do is center that woman, because when she feels centered in her body and she feels safe enough to be in her body, she will know if she is okay, and she will know if her baby's okay, and she will know if she's not, and if her baby is not. So by reflecting that back and by centering her, she's able to check in with herself and know if she's okay or not, and she will know what to do in either case. So in that scenario, a lot of the time women don't remember that wobble because it didn't escalate, it didn't spiral out of control. She wasn't set on a different path because she wasn't being held and safely contained. And when I say safely contained, I don't mean that she's not able to go wild, because if you are safely contained, you can definitely go wild. So yeah, often. So what I'm trying to say is, often what we do isn't noticed, and that's what we want. The last thing that we ever want to hear from a woman we've worked with is, I couldn't have done it without you. Which leads to, it means it's hard to get feedback because that's what other women want to read. They want to hear, this is a good investment, this is bang for my buck. But those are not the testimonials and stuff that we publish, because we don't want to give that impression to anyone that you need us and you can't be without us. We want you to come out of that birth and go, I fucking rocked that. I absolutely rocked that. That's what we want. We don't want you to attribute that to anyone else. And if you do attribute it to us being there, it's because you made that decision and you acted on instinct and just thought, yeah, you're a part of my journey. This needs to happen. We're going to work together. And if you've had an awesome birth and we've supported you during that birth, it's because you made that step. You took that leap of faith and you did the work to get to that point. And all we did was support you and believe in you and trust in you. That's not the sound of magic.
It does
or
sound.
reindeer. It's just the cat's collar.
It makes them sound so majestic.
But you know him and you know this is not true.
Yes.
I'm glad you're not working from here today.
No, never. I think you summed that up nicely. And it has been 20 minutes, and we're trying to keep it short. But if anyone is watching and they have questions, please feel free to shoot them at us. If you're not watching it live and you have questions afterwards, you're welcome to email us at hello@greatermanchesterdoulas.com, and we can have a chat. If you're interested in hiring a doula, if you're interested in becoming a doula, if you're not really sure what you want yet, but you want to find out what your options are, get in touch and we can have a chat about any of those things or anything else, really. Yeah.
I know that today is about labour and birth, but it's also possible to hire a doula just for pregnancy. Just during pregnancy, just prior to pregnancy, after pregnancy, the skills that we bring and the listening and the holding space, they can all be used of great benefit in lots of different situations. So I'm not sure when this, I mean, it's on the internet now, so it's going to be forever. But at the moment, for the foreseeable future, we have funding to make anyone who needs to access that funding, make the support for anyone who needs to access the funding possible. I'm not sure that was a good enough sentence to get across my message. If you need funding, we have funding.
That was it. That's, yeah, conclusion. Yeah, definitely. I would say that the most benefit that women get from having a doula at their birth comes after they've already had that support in pregnancy and even before pregnancy, because then you've had all that time to, unpick the things that you already thought about birth, and to stand up for yourself, and to check in with yourself and get used to listening to your intuition. And I think that is really hard to do when you're on some kind of time limit, but it's possible for sure. But the longer you have to practice all of those things and to get in touch with what you want and what you need, the better. To have that familiar support during labour and birth, it helps to have had it previously as well. But it's never too late. We have worked with women like that get in touch right at the end, and sometimes it, is just enough to flip it all around. But yeah, the more time you have, the better, would you say?
Oh, definitely. So almost, I would even say after having a baby is a really good time to hire a doula, because then you can do all of that work. You've got the longest time, I guess, before you have another baby is after you've had a baby.
Yeah, for sure. Right. That's us for today. We should be back tomorrow at some point. Not sure what time.
Yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Well, wild card.
I know. Yeah, maybe lunch break. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We will. And we'll see you tomorrow, because tomorrow the theme is partners.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. I was going to touch on that today, but I'm glad that I didn't, because, there's a lot to be said tomorrow.
Save it for tomorrow, kid.
Cool. Right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye. Bye.